I'm 19 years old and I've pretty much been dropshipping for around 3 years now. I'm actually going to be talking about my experience in the industry, how I got into it, and we'll also get into whether or not this is a business model that you might want to move forward with. Dropshipping is a super popular business model, and since I got into it in 2018, awareness for the actual model as a whole has gone up exponentially. But even with the loads of people finding out about the model, it hasn't made anything that much more difficult. There are still a ton of experienced and even unexperienced individuals making a ton of money off their websites, e-commerce stores, whatever you want to call it. You guys probably see all the flashy screenshots and think it's something easy just due to the fact that it's typically marketed as easy, but the truth is, guys, it's not. When I got into Shopify dropshipping around 3 years ago, there was a ton of trial and error, a ton of money thrown out the window, and also just a ton of problems that I was running into. Before I actually get into the real reason that you clicked on today's video, I just want to let you guys know I'm offering a few 100% free consultation calls. It's going to be like 1, 2, maybe even 3 people. All that you need to do is subscribe to my channel, leave a like on this video, and comment down #dropshipping. And within the next week, I'll get back to, a few of you guys, and we can hop on a call and I'll answer all your questions. But if we're just getting into my story, it took me literally 3 months of constantly spending money on ads with no success until I finally found a niche and a product that I actually enjoyed and that actually made me a profitable return on my investment. So needless to say, my first few stores were pretty much no big success whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they were pretty much failures. I didn't do anything with them. And at some points of me testing all these products, I found myself asking questions like, is dropshipping dead, or is this even worth my time? And this wasn't even my first attempt at making money online. Throughout the years before that, I had actually been straight up finessing Google AdSense on the YouTube platform and pretty much banking off YouTube compilation videos, just sort of channels based around Fortnite clips, Roblox clips. But eventually YouTube stopped letting users monetize those kinds of videos, and all my channels pretty much got demonetized, leaving me with nothing but just a decent amount of capital saved up, ready to invest in something. A little fun fact for you guys is actually during my junior year of high school, I was seriously contemplating whether or not I should drop out just based off of my YouTube revenue. But I'm so glad I didn't, because shortly after that, I actually realized that it was a fleeting income source for me. Since I never actually truly established my own twist and put my personality in front of my channels, they were basically just cookie cutter Fortnite clips, top 5 videos that built no real attachment or emotional connection to those audiences. So when I got into dropshipping, I already kind of had a little bit of a good grasp on how to figure out what people in one specific niche might want to see on their feed. But with my first 3 stores, I completely disregarded it, as I had just seen a video of a popular guru on the YouTube platform saying that snowboarding goggles would actually be a really, really good product to run at that time. But the moral of the story, it kind of wasn't. This first snowboarding goggles store of mine was actually pretty terrible, and it was probably one of the worst stores that I had made up until this point. But I found some success by making around 10 to 20 sales total. So I was at least starting to grasp the concept, and most importantly, I was becoming familiar with the Shopify and Facebook ads platform and learning just how to navigate them and what every button did, etc. This was all when I was traveling around the country with actually a family friend of mine and his mom. And when we actually landed in Cancun, Mexico, this was the exact location when I actually built my first successful dropshipping store. I was kind of done with spending money for ads on a product that yielded slow, unprofitable results. And then I decided, I love Cancun. I want to travel consistently for the next 5 years of my life. And the only way that I'll actually be able to do this is if I build a highly profitable and consistent e-commerce store. So literally the night that I got to Cancun, I spent 8 to 10 hours throughout the night just building out this Shopify store with the competitors' stores side by side, just pretty much making a carbon copy of their store. I was super determined to make this work, and I was making sure that every detail was taken care of. So keep in mind, it might not take you 10 hours to build out your store. I was just super on the ball, and I just wanted to get every detail right no matter what. And once I actually threw up the ads and paid for the Shopify plan, I was already starting to make some sales day 1, and I was starting to learn specific lessons that are kind of essential in this process. What I learned was your product doesn't necessarily matter unless it's something completely useless like a toilet bowl light. As long as you've seen this product, or at least a business doing well with this product within the past year, you just order the product in hand, take custom photos, custom ads, all that, and then you'll most likely succeed as long as you've done rigorous testing and are willing to throw certain amounts of money at the wall until something actually eventually sticks. Also, keep in mind the niche that I had chosen was actually the iced out jewelry niche, and it was heavily oversaturated at this point in time. But all that really mattered was that I was creating a brand, posting to my social medias every single day, making custom content for my website, making custom content for my ads. So this way there was a unique experience that all my visitors had when they actually came to my website. It was a unique store, unique content. There was no other content like it. I mean, there was content like it, but it was one of a kind, as in I had created the content and no other dropshipping store was copying my images. But then kind of comes a quick turn of events where I actually ended up losing a lot of the profit that I'd actually been saving and stacking to a mentor. After I've been running my store for around 8 weeks, I was doing well, sitting at probably around like 300 a day, with 100 of that most likely being profit. So I figured I had enough money for a mentor, and I paid some guru on Instagram who's no longer even around $3,000 to fly out and learn with him one-on-one. And let me tell you, it was pretty much kind of a horror story. First off, he waited 3 months to even invite me to fly out after I'd already paid him $3,000. He had me waiting at the airport for around 4.5 hours. And even though he specifically told me he'd be there at the same exact time that my flight landed, it still took forever for him to get there. The icing on the cake was we did pretty much no work, and the only thing that he told me to do was that I was doing everything right, and you just need to spend more. And it kind of worked out in a sense, but also my ad creatives needed help. My conversion rate needed help. So there was a whole bunch of things that he kind of just missed out on, and it was just kind of a terrible experience. So pretty much at that point, I didn't feel like I needed a mentor, as this one pretty much taught me nothing, and I had done better by myself without the help of others at the time. By January 2019, my life was actually really starting to change for the better. This was my first big month on Shopify, and it hit $53,000 in revenue in one single month, when just a couple months before that, literally in December, the month before that, I had done something more like $8,000 in revenue. So needless to say, my finances really changed quickly, with $20,000 at $50,000 being actual profit that I was taking in. So fast forward, these kind of numbers went on for 5 months. I was just stuck at $50K a month. And then up until June, my supplier was actually working really, really well for me. But then he ended up screwing me over by raising all the prices of my product, so much so that we were actually running at a net loss every day. Which, this is actually the second huge lesson that I learned when it comes to Shopify dropshipping. Never rely on an AliExpress supplier. Once you've actually scaled up to a certain amount of orders per day, let it be just even a few hundred customers per month, you're gonna wanna find an agent that can actually fulfill your products on a consistent basis every single day, or even just have bulk orders in a fulfillment center that, you know, you're paying the fulfillment center to pretty much ship out for you. You have so much more leeway with this when it comes to shipping times, your cost of goods, your cost of shipping, and you can even go as far as branding your product plus your packaging so that you give your customer a more unique experience. So after the store eventually fell off, I realized that I had learned so much about Facebook ads and exactly how to repeat what I had just done, only with a separate product and a separate store with a separate niche. Not only did I just run dropshipping stores at this point in time after June though, after my store fell off, I realized that I could actually provide real value to real e-commerce businesses out there in the case that they possibly weren't running Facebook ads. As long as a business had a, you know, solid organic grown fan base that they're constantly, you know, putting content out to, and they actually have a bit of data to work with, you can actually scale a store with them super easily. So I actually had a whole dry month of June 2019 after my store fell off. And then as soon as I found out this whole agency model and how to take on e-commerce stores to run their Facebook ads, this was essentially when my income shot up to the moon after I had that dry month in 2019. You see, I didn't take any retainers or upfront fees or anything of that nature. I was just running ads for established businesses. And since they were already pushing volume through sales channels, I knew that it was already a proven business that was working really well, so I offered them Facebook advertising management with a 25% of the net profit cut of what I generate. This proved to work out really, really well, and it's actually still a part of what I do today. So if you so happen to have a Shopify store doing any number of sales, just DM me on Instagram. We'll see what we can work out. At this point, I actually realized that the e-com space was for me, and I could actually make a substantial living off of running my agency, plus owning 2 to 3 dropshipping stores on the side. I'd essentially just graduated high school, and I didn't really want to go to college or even see a reason to go to college with the money that I was pulling in. I figured, you know, I might as well see how far I could take this, and, you know, say I fail, I'll just save some money, put it in a savings account, and just save it for a college tuition. But now is kind of the time that you need to ask yourself if this business model is actually for you, as it took a lot out of me when I was constantly failing and not seeing anything in return for those first 3 months. You most certainly need some money stacked up for the initial upkeep costs and just even initial investment in general. But I was lucky in a sense that I had found YouTube as a way to not have to work a real job when I was really, really young at like age 15. I put in a lot of work on those YouTube channels, and I kind of started to learn how to build, you know, at least a semi-brand, a semi, you know, connection between an audience and actually get the outreach needed. I feel like a ton of individuals come into dropshipping now and they don't realize that they're going to see $50, $60, even $100 coming out of their bank accounts every single day for the investment in ads. And on some days, you'll see $0 and zero revenue even made back. So you'll get no returns on some days. And that can be very, very discouraging when you're seeing, you know, $100 coming out of your account that day on ad spend. This is especially discouraging when you don't have like a second income source, like a job or just something that's just bringing you in money, providing you with a cushion for your bank account. It's not like you just have $1,000 to invest and then you just invest it and that's it. You just kind of let the profits roll in. It's an everyday thing, and you kind of need to be on this thing daily at least for 2 hours a day just hustling. But honestly, that's everything I wanted to go over, and I never really even planned on making like a my story kind of video, how I got into dropshipping, but I figured this might inspire a few individuals, and I've never really even talked about this, and being able to tell my story has actually kind of inspired myself today, as it took some time to kind of recall the first few months that I even got into this, just because I haven't recalled it at all. But it's really crazy to see how far I've come since I actually started in this industry. Hopefully you guys took something valuable out of the lessons that I have in this video. I understand they were quite very bare bones beginner. You hear about just everyone telling you this, but quite honestly, it's probably the most important things that you'll actually need to know when you actually do get into this model.